Ethnic style has become one of the standout trends in Kazakh fashion today. It's funny to think that not so long ago, tradition and modern design barely crossed paths. Heritage and innovation were more like distant observers than partners. And it's even harder to imagine that just 30 years ago, people mostly wore national clothing for special occasions, family events, holidays, big celebrations. Wearing something ethnic day to day wasn't common at all. Only a few bold people went for it.
People were embarrassed to wear anything traditional in everyday life. Only the most creative, brave, progressive folks, mostly from the entertainment world, were the ones who noticed my work. Back then, I realized we needed pieces that weren't too flashy. Something you could introduce gradually, like adding spices to a dish. And it's wonderful that our people continue to hold on to their traditions.
Его нужно, знаете, вот как специи, потихонечку вводить в нашу реальность. И это очень хорошо, что наш народ сохраняет свои традиции.
But things changed quickly. National motives became a trend, and that shift turned into a real cultural moment. It happened as local brands started to grow, and people began to understand that ethnic elements could be adapted to their own style. The demand was strong, and designers kept proving that national style isn't something frozen in a museum. It's a living fashion language. Local aesthetics aren't just unique, they can compete. And step by step, a genuine turning point took shape. Not long ago, national elements were mostly seen at family celebrations or tucked away in our grandmother's chests. Now they've confidently taken over the streets and look as if they've always belonged there. Ethnic style is no longer reserved for holidays. It's become everyday, relevant, and even bold. Aida Kaumanova was one of the first designers to carve out her own path in the ethnic direction. Interestingly, she realized just how right that choice was far from home, while studying in Italy.
И когда я училась там, в городе Урбино, это прекрасный маленький город, где родился Рафаэль Санчес.
When I was studying in Urbino, a beautiful little town where Rafael was born, I realized that our cultural heritage is just as deep as Europe's.
Она такая же глубокая, как европейская. Если
In European history, velvet garments were worn only by royalty. But Kazakh women who lived along the Silk Road, almost every one of them could afford to wear velvet.
Женщины, которые жили на шелковом пути, они имели, практически каждая женщина могла себе позволить носить изделия из бархата.
That's how Aida's work began, carefully blending traditional motifs with modern silhouettes. And as she says, the results surprised even the skeptics. People who once hesitated to wear anything national outside of celebrations gradually started adding it to their everyday wardrobe. Camisoles, tibitekas, t-shirts with Kazakh prints, jackets in a nomad style. Young people embraced this aesthetic as if it had been created specifically for their street freedom.
Молодежь, они классные. Мне так нравится, как они носят тюбетейки, как они надевают футболки с нашими принтами.
Young people are amazing. I love how they wear takya, how they style t-shirts with our prints. They do it so naturally because their parents, their mothers have already passed this culture on to them.
Потому что это выглядит действительно очень модно, когда, допустим, молодой человек...
And it looks genuinely fashionable. A guy wearing white jeans, a cool t-shirt and takya, or throwing on a nomad-style jacket. Upcycling is huge now too. Taking a basic denim piece and adding patterns, patches, embroidery, it all looks incredibly cool. As a designer, it makes me really happy to see.
Что-то нашивается, какие-то узоры, да, какие-то нашивки. И все это очень круто выглядит. Мне, например, как дизайнеру, это очень приятно видеть.
Alua Bekkoja, a devoted fan of ethnic style, says she always, especially when abroad, adds elements of Kazakh tradition to her everyday streetwear. Her favorite kamzol, accessories and other details. For her, it's not just self-expression, it's a way to highlight her identity. And it catches the attention of casting directors. Ethnic style becomes an advantage, a unique visual code that can be copied. Alua is an international model who has worked for years on European runways. She collaborates with major brands, Chanel Beauty, Givenchy Beauty, and many others.
Мен өзімді былай Парижде көп жұмыс істеп жүргеннен кейін 13 жыл болды.
I've been working in the modeling industry for about 10 years now, and I've spent a lot of time in Paris. I see myself as an ambassador of Kazakhstan. When we talk about street style, if you look back at our own history, we had our version of street style too. We had kamzols, kimishek, shapan. By using them in my everyday looks, wearing them to casting and showing them there, I show where I come from, my country, my ethnicity, and a bit of my own character.
Шығатынымды соны көрсетіп, және де кішкене харизманы көрсетемін. Осы стрит-стайлды өзімнің стиліме қосып.
Ever since I started adding ethnic elements to my style, casting directors and people in the fashion industry began showing more interest.
Саласында жұмыс істеп жүрген адамдар көбінше мені сұрап, маған харизмаға кішкене бал қосып.
I started getting more exciting opportunities. This positive trend has really helped my career, and honestly, it's become my favorite kind of street style.
Өзімнің жұмысымда қалай оны қолданып жүргенімді енді стрит стайл туралы айтсақ болады.
Street style is one of the few areas of fashion that barely depends on runways or trend books. It grows out of people, their personalities, their sense of identity. These days, people don't flip through magazines to see what's in. The street itself has become an independent laboratory of taste. Designer Minaim points out her favorite feature of this evolution: boldness. She says Kazakhstani fashion lovers are now mixing identity with avant-garde ideas, experimenting with shapes, and searching for new contrasts. The space for self-expression has expanded, and the street is signaling to designers that people are ready for bolder choices.
Мне кажется, мода стала более смелой. Если раньше мы...
I feel like fashion has become braver. Before, we revolved around pure ethno, something more conservative. Now we've become more daring. We've started mixing our identity with something global, bold, maybe even avant-garde. And that's how fashion itself became braver.
Мировое, смелое, авангардное, возможно, и таким образом мода становится более смелой.
Being a designer is always more than just one profession. You can't be only a creator. You have to be a manager, an accountant, a psychologist for your own team, and someone who can stay inspired even when inspiration slips away. But as designers' stories show, these challenges are exactly what shape the uniqueness of the local industry. Growth doesn't happen in one leap. It happens gradually as new designers appear and competition increases. Demand pushes them to experiment, invent, and step outside the familiar. In the end, a Kazakh designer isn't just a master of cuts, textures, and silhouettes. They are someone who runs a business, preserves local culture, builds a team, and withstands the pressure of expectations.
И когда все это собирается в одну кучу, получается такая красивая...
When all of this comes together, it creates this beautiful, complex kind of music. As if, instead of 7 notes, there are 10, and something completely new appears. That's why I think we have great potential. What's important now is remembering that all of this is people's work. Any creative person doesn't just create, they usually have a team. They pay taxes, they pay salaries, they pay materials, they produce goods. And here it's very important that the state supports them. This is mostly small and medium-sized business, so we all hope for that support. As for creativity, our people, our nation, and we're doing just fine in that department.
Creativity always needs expression, visibility, and recognition. In this sense, Minaim highlights how important event activity has become for the fashion industry, a source of inspiration and a space where designers and audiences meet.
Мне кажется, ивенты влияют на создателя.
I think events influence creators because they spark demand. From my own experience, when clients come in asking for something wow, you try to create something meaningful, something beautiful in response. But when the demand is flat, the same as everywhere else, the results end up the same.
Спрос, он такой стабильный, он такой, как у всех, это рождается то же самое.
And when something big happens in the city or in the country, that becomes a stimulus for us too. It makes us want to create, to make something new.
Это тоже для нас стимул, нам тоже хочется создавать, нам тоже хочется творить.
If we imagine Kazakh fashion as a living organism, then events like Fashion Beauty Days Astana are its pulse. What began as one person's creative impulse has grown into a major platform where fashion, photography, the beauty industry, and entrepreneurship speak the same language. Robert Aldiarov says the idea came at a moment when he needed a stage, a place to show what was possible, to step out of uncertainty and to express himself creatively. That's how the exhibition was born, later becoming one of the industry's most notable events.
Благодаря нашему событию творческие люди.
Thanks to our event, creative people can express themselves, show their work, find partners, like-minded people, investors, sponsors. It's a space where all opportunities are open, collaboration, growth, improvement. When we interact and see each other, we strengthen each other. The whole point of this platform is growth and development. That's why it exists.
То есть это все только для того, чтобы расти и развиваться. Эта площадка создана для этого.
When people interact, they amplify one another. And that principle has shaped all 5 seasons of the project. Over time, the format evolved. What began with a small, niche audience now brings together professionals from many different fields, expanding the industry and creating a new level of collaboration.
Это больше, я думаю, формат, он немного
I think the format has transformed because I brought fashion together with other industries. That's the first thing. And because of that, we expanded the audience completely. It's no longer a narrow specialization. It's a broad community connected to photography, fashion, beauty, makeup, hair, styling. Everything you can name. We've grown in that sense.
Совсем все, что можно назвать fashion и beauty. Вот, ну, мы увеличились в этом формате.
Each event is a tangible step forward. It strengthens the professional environment. When experts, ideas, and creative visions gather in one place, the industry begins to sound louder. And as the number and scale of such events grow, the industry develops more systematically. Local fashion gains a stable infrastructure and broader opportunities for growth, including the ethnic direction, which continues to inspire designers and lovers of unique aesthetics.